Hey guys, welcome back to part 2 of the Frame by Frame series. Again, we're going to go through each of the official frame by frame episodes that CD Projekt Red has given us about the Cyberpunk 2077 E3 trailer and offer some of our thoughts about the world, characters, and technology of Night City. These episodes give more depth to the world of Cyberpunk 2077, so stick around to learn about things like gun laws, RealSkinn Technology, booster gangs, Megacorporations, Cyberassassins, and even the Yakuza. Night City is a diverse place with people from all walks of life, background, and cultures. As a result, there's an array of nightlife establishments, each with their own appealing theme and atmosphere. Some Night City bars have a distinct old-school vibe, which is why in the trailer we spot a familiar sight, a classic-style pool table that's been retrofitted with minor technological enhancements. This episode showcases the diversity in the themes and settings we'll see in Night City. Cyberpunk 2077's world seems to be a melting pot of various different cultural influences and may present some of the most ethnic diversity we've seen in a game. This makes it feel like a more authentic representation of not only the real world, but more specifically California and LA. This episode also potentially shows a bar known as the Afterlife, a congregation spot for mercenaries and fixers, and showcases a potential minigame and pool with the added ingenuity of an augmented reality interface. Even though cybernetic prosthetics were originally developed for practical and medical purposes, they've since become a matter of lifestyle choice. In 2077, cyberware has become as commonplace as tattoos and jewelry. The reasons for installing it are many and varied, including simple tech upgrades, combat enhancements, and even fashion statements. The possession of trendy cyberware has become an integral and defining part of Night City culture. Uniqueness is just another form of currency. To make it big, you need to look the part. Style is everything. RealSkinn Technology, a synthetic skin designed to cover cybernetic implants. Episode 7 exposes some of the backstory of cyberware and how it's catapulted into being a necessity for the people of Night City. It seems that in the world of Cyberpunk 2077, you can be judged on the social scale by what kind of cyberware you have. Similarly to how the kind of car you drive in today's day and age speaks largely to how people view you in terms of social prowess, the equivalent in Night City is trendy cyberware and top-of-the-line combat enhancements. These surface and subsurface pieces of technology are not only functional, but take peacocking theory to the max level. Again, the flashier you are, the more you signify dominance and high social status to the people around you. Now, RealSkinn Technology is what can be seen in the trailer, with the Russian-looking fellow holding the big Militech rifle to hide his facial armor augmentations. If this is present in the game, you'll most likely be able to hide your augmentations and cyberware to others, which if you think about it, might have a dynamic effect on people's perception of your threat level. After all, booster gangs are gonna have their guards down for someone who is seemingly human versus someone with a Gatling gun as an arm. Night City has seen its share of gang warfare over the years. Night City gangs vary by structure, hierarchies, and backgrounds. Organized crime in this town is driven primarily by violence. There's an ever-present need to prove oneself. Self-actualization through violence is a philosophy followed by many in society. At the bottom, physical brutality settles most disputes. At the top, corporations do whatever is necessary to maintain both hard and soft power. Here, fear is king. Below Deck, an underwater-themed club opened in a former aquarium. Now this is an interesting episode because we get to see the mentality of why this place is so violent. Gang warfare has spiraled out of control, and self-protection and cyber-psychosis has created a new breed of bloodlust in the city. It seems that if not driven mad by the sheer suffering, poverty, and violence in Night City, the technology that's meant to aid you will push you over the edge. This contrasts with today's technological trap, where we're getting more and more lost in the chasm of future tech to make life easier, which usually comes with unknown repercussions. It's also interesting how self-actualization through violence is the very opposite way to reach self-actualization, meaning that citizens are possibly more lost in their own delusions than ever before. Below Deck is also something that can be seen in the trailer as a poster, and although has heavy gang activity, seems to be a popular spot in Night City. Gun laws are lax in Night City. Anyone can own a gun. And thanks to frequent riots and the daily threat of violence, just about everybody does. Open carry of firearms is a commonplace, and many even wear bulletproof clothing as they go about their lives, just in case. No one bats an eye at a pistol here or a rifle there. To stay alive, you need to look out for yourself, even if that's sometimes meaning turning a blind eye to constant violence happening all around you. Now this is pretty much implied from the first part of the trailer, where the big guy is eating noodles in peace and has two thugs draw weapons on him. No one around bats an eye or seems to care, and that just reinforces to what degree people just don't give a shit. You can also see the lackadaisical gun laws in effect by the battle taxi scene, where there are rifles and SMGs strewn across the vehicle. For most, despite pervasive violence and poverty, leaving Night City is not an option. Everyone is a lone wanderer in their own right, and Night City presents an undying hope for fame and success, where failure is the ultimate fear. Self-preservation and self-promotion, not money, are the driving forces behind societal advancement. In order to become somebody, you have to be more than yourself. To become immortal, you have to become a brand, an ideal. So this episode sort of implies that you either sell yourself to megacorporations and their ideals and become enslaved, or suffer more than necessary by being an outright outcast. It seems that only big egos are the ones driving societal advancement, or in my opinion, de-advancement. This parallels nicely with modern day corporations, but obviously exaggerated to fit the narrative and style of Night City. Night City is a global center for megacorporation operations and home to regional branches of corporate giants such as Arasaka and Militech. In Night City, Arasaka specializes in protective services and the distribution of their Japanese-made products throughout North America. Over the years, it's developed a dark reputation as a corporation that is to be feared, and one which covers its tracks using Cyberassassins, an army of lawyers, as well as an alleged connection to the Yakuza. Militech, on the other hand, is an arms dealer based out of eastern US. Working closely with police and military forces, it has substantially contributed to civilian security systems. It's a powerhouse manufacturer of high-grade military technology, from simple firearms to heavily armed combat vehicles. Night City is home to many shops, restaurants, and decor that draws inspiration from Japanese, Chinese, Filipino, and Indian culture, amongst others. These include KIROSHI Optics, KABAYAN Foods, FUYUTSUKI Electronics and Masala Studios, as well as Maneki Neko figurines and Tengu imagery that enrich the world. Here we get a background behind two of the main megacorps in Night City. The dynamic of competition between these two could have major implications in the story arc, and presumably our character V will come to blows with them at some point, being somewhat of a rebel. It's interesting how they draw from the real world by having Yakuza displayed in the lore, and Cyberassassins could make for some really interesting street stories and quests, and I can't wait to see how that turns out gameplay and story-wise. Maybe the Soul Killer program, which traps netrunners' minds and their consciousness in the web, leaving their bodies to be husks, will appear in the game, which would be really interesting and something we haven't seen too much of in the cyberpunk genre as a whole. Trauma Team is composed of paramedics expertly trained in combat who will go to any length to deliver their clients from harm. Those wealthy enough to afford a Trauma Team medical plan receive a card with a biochip implant. When the chip recognizes a medical problem in the client's system, it immediately informs the Trauma Team, who rush to the scene to stabilize and extract the patient, rain or shine, war zone or picnic. It'll be interesting to see just how expensive Trauma Team memberships are. In my Missed Details audio leak video, I went into a little bit more detail about something I discovered about Trauma Team, so if you'd like to check that out, I'll link a card in the top for you guys. All in all, don't fuck with Trauma Team. Speed is a major theme in Cyberpunk 2077. For many, it's just a way of life. The city moves fast, so keep up or get blown back. Any edgerunner will tell you, if you stop, you die. Night City waits for no one. Our protagonist's well-worn bomber jacket oozes style, but that's not its only purpose. Like most fashion choices in Night City, the jacket is also designed to be functional, offering the ability to connect to different forms of tech. Speed being a theme of Cyberpunk might mean we have well-paced quest lines within the story, as well as gameplay being fluid and seamless. Hopefully this emphasis on speed doesn't end up with the storylines feeling too rushed, but instead will aid in the feeling of increased tension. Our clothing also has high tech sewn right into the fibers, and will function in many more ways than just increasing your street cred levels and stats. That's it for the frame by frame series, guys. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and ring that bell to stay up to date with the Neon Arcade and Cyberpunk 2077.